Alex. You know, there's only one way we're going to end all of this. You've got to go back in there. Find Carla. Because she's the one who's keeping the spirit alive.
Hey, what's up everyone? You got Mind Circus here with you, and welcome to my account tour video, requested on my community page by the people who view my channel on a regular basis. Before we get started, if you are new to the channel, new to Guild Wars 2, just haven't done so yet, I am currently farming likes and subscribes in an effort to build the channel, and would greatly appreciate it if you want to hook me up with one of those just below the video. Hey, account tour video. Not too much to say about the whole format. I've broken everything into a bit of a list, and we'll go through things. We're going to start here at the main screen. We're going to take a look at some of the account statistics here, things like our mastery rank. The mastery rank on my account completely filled up. Generally, these get done within about 3 or 4 days of any kind of given Living World episode coming out. It's been a long time since the mastery system held a whole lot of value for me. Although I will say the Icebrood Saga mastery points were a little bit more interesting to pick up. They had a little bit more of a feeling of progression than maybe the system has had since Heart of Thorns. PvP rank is 44 Tiger. The amount of PvP I've done is very minimal. I've done a fair bit of unranked, and I've done about 3/4 of a season of ranked. The only reason I did a season of ranked was to get Ascended Armor for one of my characters. It was one of my tests to see how quickly I could farm up a set of Ascended Armor for one of my characters. It was pretty quick, but I don't like the guy who comes out to play this game when I PvP, so I don't do it. I'm a little bit of a salty bastard. World versus World is something I do enjoy. As you can see there, I am Gold Squire at 1899, just about to become level 1900. Have kind of an on-again, off-again love affair with World versus World in this game. There will be times when it becomes literally all I do in the game, and that'll go for a couple of months here and there. And then there will be times like now where I will barely touch the mode except to get my dailies done. Achievement points, I am creeping up slowly on 2900, which I believe is a bit of a rite of passage. I'm at 287742 at this point. I don't go out and actively chase achievement points. It's just not a way to play the game that I really enjoy. I get that there are people who think that that is a great way to play the game, and I don't disagree. If you're a completionist, then I think that that's pretty much a great way to go. Just for me, it's just not a number I like chasing. A few numbers that may not be up on this list here at this point. I am world complete 12 times. 12 of my characters are 100% map complete for Corteria. I have finished the personal story 8 times, so complete on 8 different characters. I have completed, so beginning to end, Living World Season 2 4 times. I finished the Heart of Thorns story 9 times. The reason why I've done that so many more than any of the others is I do farm the Khalid Bog reward off that. If you are juggling a whole lot of tunes, having a few of those Khalid Bogs around becomes a really big win when you are trying to gear things up. I have completed Living World Season 3 5 times. I have done Path of Fire 6 times. I've done Path of Fire 6 times because I just really enjoyed the story and the content and the way it was put together. I was really in love with Path of Fire when it came out, and burned my way through the story quite a few times on that just by myself. I have finished Living World Season 4 3 times, and I have completed the Icebrood Saga from the beginning to end twice. And that really are some of the main account achievements here. So at this point, let's get in and take a look at characters. There's a lot to say here, so I'm actually going to keep it super brief on each one. Why do I have so many characters? The number one reason is I like to play with the builds in this game, and the equipment and gear template slots, or sorry, the gear and build template slots that the game has to offer, I just don't think are as good value as going in and buying a new new character slot. Additionally speaking, I actually like the chance to play with a new character, just create something new, give them a little story, and go ahead and customize their look. I spend a lot of time on my character's looks, etc. So that is the reason, but a lot of the times I'm going to create these things because I have a very specific need or reason, and then I'll go about retrofitting, the character into the world that way. But in no specific order, we will start taking a look at my characters. This is Professor Bongwater. He is one of the first characters I created. He is my first Mesmer. He is currently spec'd for Chronomancer, which I have probably played about a half dozen times. I really, really do suck at Mesmer, guys. And while he is fully geared, he really just kind of does the crafting thing. This is Explorer Ozzy. I don't have a whole lot of time on this character. He is a warrior. He is currently set for a Trailblazers Condi Berserker that I'm messing around with in the background, which is relatively fun, using the longbow, etc. I built him because I actually had a character in my head, and it was of this little wandering Asura warrior poet who would go through the world, and I actually map completed him, despite the fact that I barely played him, to be honest with you, which I guess is a bit of an oxymoron, but outside that map complete and outside the core leveling that I did on him, I haven't played him a whole lot. I already have one other warrior, and warrior is just one of those classes that doesn't see a lot of play in my little stable of characters. My next character here is Elijah. Elijah is my second ranger, last seen recently as the Celestial Druid build I put up for Mind Over Meta on the channel. Very fun and happy with the Celestial Druid build. He is also geared up for a raid druid. I have complete raid gear on him if I ever want to go ahead and try raiding on druid. I've just never really enjoyed the support druid playstyle as much as I've enjoyed maybe some of the other options for support in this game. My first engineer, the mightiest of us all, this is Taz. She is part Minnie Mouse, part Tank Girl by Lori Petty from the amazing film back in the 90s of the same name. Really, this is my scrapper. This has been where all my engineering started. Very, very in love with this character. Very, very in love with Scrapper. There's not too much else to say. I play in World vs. World. I played in PvE. And I have played a little bit in PvP as well. I'm a big Scrapper enjoyer. Moving on, we have my Condi Rev. I have 3 Revenants. This is the one that I spec'd as Condi Renegade to play Shortbow Renegade. Warmaster Newts. The Newts is actually something that came from at my old job. One of the emojis that we used was just Newt, and we would hit Newt if we had actually read something from one of our bosses. We'd make sure we'd hit that as a reaction, and that became her name here. Newts is, again, Condi Renegade. There isn't really too much to say about that. Go and hit up the Celestial Renegade build that's on the channel. Next is my first Guardian, Nero here. Nero, obviously, a pretty big char. I'm really happy with the way he looked. I spent hours in the character creator working on his face. Very, very happy with the character itself. His main purpose for the last couple of years has been Firebrand in World vs. World. This is my main kind of stab generation bot, I guess is the best way to put it. Do a lot of playing of World vs. World as Firebrand. Probably spent more time on Guardian and Firebrand than any other class in World vs. World because it's just so essential in every line, and it's hard to find people who play it reliable. Speaking of Guardian, we have my final Guardian. I have 3 Guardians. This is my my Condi Firebrand. Currently set in a mix of, I believe, Sinister and Viper's gear. Does a crazy buttload of damage. The character itself is one of the ones I find more interesting of the ones that I come up with. The name Alassi actually meaning, I believe it's truth speaking, something to that effect, or honored one, something like that. I forget exactly what I came up with, but the name is Inuit, so there we go. Really happy with the look of this character. This is one of those characters whose look really kind of stands out to me. This is Rhiannon, named after a lady I used to work with because I thought she had about the prettiest name in the world that I'd ever heard. And the last name taken, I believe, from X-Men comics. Don't judge me. A really big fan of this one. Currently spec'd as a Holosmith, and specifically as Selly Holosmith. If you're looking for a good Holosmith build, I think my Selly Holosmith build is one of the more fun builds on the channel, and I highly recommend it. Rolled her because I knew Path of Fire was coming, and I didn't really want to change my scrapper into a Holosmith. We didn't have build templates at the time, so I set about leveling a whole bunch of characters before Path of Fire, just to make sure that I had enough room to cover all the specs. Really love Holosmith. I find it a little one-dimensional for engineer, but yeah, I still think it's a whole lot of fun. Also, recently spec'd this as the core engineer build. If any of you guys are looking for an easy flamethrower build, links are down in the description. Lady Void Indigo, named after the Marvel graphic novel from the 80s. One of the earliest graphic novels from the 80s was a novel called Void Indigo. Chose the name as I was creating the character, retrofitted her backstory to kind of fit the universe. This is my first Elementalist. If I have an idea for Ellie, this is where it generally gets tested. She is absolutely one of my favorite characters just for her look. And I play a lot of Elementalists. Specifically, I play a lot of Tempest. I enjoy playing Tempest a great deal. So she currently is all spec'd up for a Celestial Tempest build that I am looking to replace the existing Celestial Tempest build on the channel, and that should go up probably within the next week or so, depending on how long it takes me to write the intro. Archivist Tato. Archivist Tato is my open world PvE Reaper. Not too much else to say. If you've never played Reaper, it is a simple, fun way to do just about everything in this game when you need to do a whole bunch of damage and sit in a bunch of red circles. It's a pretty easy spec. That said, I don't play this character a lot, and I don't play this character a lot because the spec is so easy and simple. It's the same reason I don't play Warrior a whole lot. I just don't find the playstyle to be as captivating as maybe some of the other options, and specifically Scourges. But still got her all set to go, and is a lot of fun. I just don't play it a whole lot. Continuing my tradition of naming my Asura by their jobs, this is Arsonist Poshi. Arsonist Poshi, one of my newer characters. I rolled her because I wanted a Condi Tempest. I didn't have a whole lot of room to put builds. My other two Tempests are set doing other things, specifically Void on her power stuff, and my other character is set up as a healing Tempest. So really didn't have kind of the gear and equipment slots to go and play Condi Tempest. Rolled the new character. Very, very happy with this character. If you've never played Condi Tempest, if you are looking for a way to play Tempest in open world that doesn't get you smoked every 5 minutes, take a look at Condi Tempest. One of my first mains in this game, my Ranger, had originally set her for Longbow Ranger. This is Lainey, named after an old friend of mine. Lainey is, again, like I say, where I learned just about everything on Ranger. There was a time when all I played in this game was Ranger. Played Longbow Ranger in open world. I played a Longbow Shortbow thing in World vs. World. Sorry for everybody who ever had to roll with me while I was doing that one, but I was just figuring out the game. Currently spec'd as Condi Soul Beast, and Condi Soul Beast, if you have never played it, one of the easier and more fun ways to handle some big game in this game. Really, at this point, though, I will probably take a look at outfitting her for Untamed when Untamed comes out, just to experiment with it. But Untamed, Blade Swarm, probably the two specs I'm least interested in the upcoming expansion. This is Tuki. Everybody loves Tuki, as I like to remind people. Tuki is a character I made specifically for World vs. World. She is currently spec'd the exact same way as she was when I first created her and got her to the cap. She is set as Trailblazers Condi Rev running Herald for World vs. World. It really is probably my best roamer. I also roam fairly well on Elementalist and on Engineer, but I don't really get the same kind of 4 versus 1 capacity that I can sometimes pull off on Condi Rev. So really a big fan of this one. I haven't changed her much. I've tried a couple of things with her additionally. I've tried to run a kind of a healing Ventari thing, but if you've ever played Ventari Rev, it really does suck. It's just not fun. So there you have it. Really big fan of Condi Herald. Next up on the list, we have Echo. Echo, named after another person who had what I thought was one of the coolest first names ever. And just somebody I used to work with a long time ago. Echo is my Mirage. Mirage is probably the one class in this game I wish I played better, is the best way to put it. I wish I was better at Mirage. Mirage is one of those things whenever I sit down and say, well, what would I like to do in this game? Learn to play Mirage better is really always high on that list. I really enjoy Mirage when I do play it. I just don't play it very often because I'm not very good at it, and I don't get a whole lot of time to explore builds that I may be a little bit less experienced with as I'm putting out things for other people. That becomes one of the lesser concerns about what I'm spending my time playing. Currently spec'd in Vipers, and really that is about all you need to know. Staff Mirage is a lot of fun and very easy. Moving on down the list here, we have Naya Asmara, which is a character I made when I heard that Path of Thorns was coming. I wanted a specific firebrand for the game. I hadn't rolled my other firebrand, and Nero was busy doing the World vs. World build setup. So what I have here currently is a Marauder's Dragon Hunter. The character kind of became a Dragon Hunter in my head, and now spends most of her time in DH gear, which also is probably the reason she doesn't see a whole lot of playtime. Dragon Hunter being one of my less favorite elite specs in the game. Not because it's bad or anything, it's just never been kind of my play style, but she is ready for Willbender, and she will totally be there to hold the Willbender thing up when I am ready to go. My original Necromancer is Nyx the Oracle here. Nyx has two different setups. She has an open world Condi Scourge build, which if you've never played it is probably the most overpowered thing going these days. Running it in straight Vipers. Her other build setup is where I do the bulk of my support work when I am playing in Strikes. When I am playing in Strikes, bad things happen if I am not playing Support Scourge, so I generally play it. I play a lot of Support Scourge in Strikes, particularly when you're pugging. I find that the barrier generation is probably about one of the biggest pieces of impact that you can get, and obviously the res potential is super high for dealing with the people who are likes camping in their red circles. So big fan. This is my Scourge. She does both roles of both open world DPS and of support in 10-man content. Next on the list, we have Connell here. Connell is the only character I am currently leveling. He is at level 45. If you have been following my series Let's Replay Guild Wars 2, then you have probably seen the evolution of this character. Currently being parked as I worked on a couple of other projects before returning to the Let's Replay will be about another week or so before I get to that point, at which point I am going to start doing a dungeon with this guy and a couple of other things. I'm happy with his look so far. I've rolled him because Harbinger is one of the existing specs that kind of doesn't fit into my mold of my other necromancers. As you've seen, I've got my power Reaper here, and I've got my Condi Scourge here. I do want to do some things on Harbinger, and it is going to take a couple of extra character slots, so definitely going to have him in play before we are at the End of Dragon's release. Dizzy the Sly, most recently seen in the Condi Daredevil build. I am really a big fan of this character. As I have said before, if my little pantheon of characters has a trickster god, this is it right here. Super entertaining to play, a lot of fun. Highly recommend that action for you all if you have never played Condi Thief and are looking for kind of a durable open world thief build that can kind of handle all the usual suspects. Definitely take a look at that one. But yeah, I rolled her originally for World versus World to kind of noob stomp for a little bit. That got really old really fast. Fortunately, Condi Devil in PvE was enough to save the character. Speaking of thieves, we have my Atreides here, last name taken shamelessly from the Dune novels, of which I am a massive, massive fan. Maya here is my first and original thief, currently spec'd for Power Daredevil. Power needs are all set up in this character. I am a really big fan of Power Daredevil. I've said it before, highly recommend it for anybody who is really getting started in the combat in this game. I think that Power Daredevil is a good reason or a good way to learn it. Highly recommend Power Daredevil for any of you. My next character here will be Janeth. Janeth is a support tempest. This is my big support tempest. Anytime I need to pull out some green numbers and walk some people through some harder content than maybe that they are able to handle, I will pull out my support tempest and just raw power green number them through it. Played a lot of this in World versus World as well. I really enjoy support tempest in World versus World. I think Shocking Aura is a beautiful thing. I think that you can do some Condi cleanse on support tempest that a lot of people may not be kind of aware of the upper level of. Big fan of Tempest in general, obviously, and a big fan of support Tempest in both World versus World and in PvE. But that is why I rolled her, was as a support Tempest. My original warrior is Judas here. Judas is currently spec'd for World vs. World Shout Heal Warrior. He's actually got 2 sets of gear. His other set will be a power spellbreaker that I use for open world but don't play a whole lot of. The World vs. World support Shout Heal Warrior, if you've never played it, is extremely effective. Not so much in PvE, and in fact in PvE I think support Warrior is probably about one of your worst options. But in PvP, or sorry, in World vs. World, support heal Shout Warrior is an absolutely excellent option. I know that's contentious. I know it's a hot take, but I personally love it. Judas's sister is my last revenant. This is set up and ready for Vindicator at this point. Really, she was my first revenant. I have spec'd her in a variety of different ways, mostly power because she's got an ascended set of power gear on her, and really that is about it. I have just parked her and getting her ready to do the big greatsword thing as soon as End of Dragons launches. And finally, last but not least, this is my Deadeye. There are many Deadeyes like it, but this one is mine. This is also Fashion Wars Challenge Mode, as this is my female medium char, which if you've ever tried to fashion up can be one of the hardest things to do in the game. This is my Deadeye. I have not played a whole lot of Deadeye. I've found Deadeye to be pretty lackluster pretty quick. Obviously you can play the double pistol build and just, walk through everything. The only interesting thing I ever found out of Deadeye was if you set it in Diviner armor's gear, you can do a really interesting boon spam build. If you've ever played Boon Thief can be pretty entertaining, but you do it widely at the cost of your own damage, and really doesn't leave you with a whole bunch other than basically perma Might and Fury on everybody. So that's really my characters. One thing to really keep in mind when I'm describing these roles, each one of these characters has at least one set of ascended armor. All trinkets, all weapons are ascended. I don't mess around with exotic that much, except when I'm build testing these days. Usually what I'll do is I've got enough characters with enough gear to go around that I can test out almost any variety of gear. But that took some doing. There isn't an achievement in this game that offers ascended armor or weapons that I haven't done really. I also used to do a lot of T3 fractals. Doing T3 fractals will see a fair bit of ascended armor drops. Saw a few armor drops in World vs. World, but most of the rest has just been crafted the old-fashioned way. So with that all said, let's pop into game, take a look at some of the unlocks I've done. So when I'm talking about unlocks, I mean generally gem store unlocks for quality of life stuff. If I pull up my inventory here, you'll see I have exactly 3 shared inventory slots. These 3 shared inventory slots are just the ones that came with the game. So there's the one that I got with Heart of Thorns, there's the one that I got with Path of Fire, and there is the one that I purchased with End of Dragons. You'll note that one of the things I did do this year was purchase an Endless Upgrade Extractor. In the long run, kind of a strange purchase. I am glad I bought it. I bought it because the Legendary Armory was taking a very long time to get to us, and when it comes to testing builds, etc., I felt that having an Endless Upgrade Extractor was probably about the biggest benefit I could give myself. In terms of what I'm doing account-wide, my progression at this point, I'm focusing on getting at least one of each terrestrial weapon legendary. I'm currently only 2 weapons shy of that goal. I'm still missing a longbow and I'm still missing a rifle. Every other weapon that I have is accounted for via the legendary system. At this point going forward, I'm looking at probably just capping it at that point and going back and focusing on armor. I have one set of legendary armor. I am missing the light and the heavy. I did the one set that I have, the medium set in World vs. World, which if you have never done is not necessarily something I really recommend. Very grindy to get it in World vs. World, compared to the PvE option that is available. But that is what I have here. The other things that I have here in my spots are, of course, the Runecrafter Salvage-O-Matic, and I have the Silver-Fed Salvage-O-Matic. I'll use the Runecrafters on blues and greens. I will use the Silver-Fed on anything better than that, and then I will use the Endless Upgrade Extractor if I get something with a decent rune or a sigil in it. I will absolutely take that out in addition to using that for my buildcraft. The next thing that we can take a look at in terms of account-wide unlocks, I will just touch on this really quickly right again. I do not buy bag space. I don't buy bag space because there isn't an account-wide option when you are juggling as many alts in MMOs like I do, and I do this in every MMO, I'll be honest with you. One of the things to keep in mind is that when you are juggling these things, finding account-wide unlock options are probably the best. So without that, I just don't spend the money in it. I also don't spend the money in bags. I will get anything over 18 slots as an achievement. Otherwise, I will buy the 18 slot bags that are available in World vs. World. Looking at a couple of the other unlocks that are available, let's just pull this up right now. When I look at my material storage, I have bought 2 material storage expanders. I found that that was about the sweet spot for me. Anytime I'm holding on to over 750 of something, it's probably time to take action at that point. But otherwise, yeah, that's really about it. I will absolutely use the 2 storage expanders. When it comes to bank tabs, the only bank tabs I bought, I believe I bought 3 or 4. I'm not exactly sure how many the game gives you by default. I believe it might be 3, so I purchased 4 or 5 of these. Looking at the bank, I try to keep it as organized as possible. Things in my bank are obviously little things that drop from Black Line. I'm holding on to 2 precursors at this point. I am currently crafting Zap. Once I craft it, I will sell it because I already own Shining Blade. And I am holding on to the precursor for the Dreamer because I really want that pony sharp bow for the troll effect, but that will be down the line. I already have Chuka and Champawat, so this is really a luxury for troll benefit here. Other things I have, obviously sitting on a whole bunch of level up tomes like just about everybody else is. Sitting on a few Black Lion skins here at this point. Some of these I've kept for my own benefit. Some of these I won in giveaways. I think I won this Darkwing sword as part of a giveaway. I bought this Phoenix staff when it was cheap, knowing it would go up in price, and a few other things like that. So we have those. Sitting on these, obviously these Memories of Otter, which are doing me absolutely nothing. One of the other things here, I've got a little place where I'm, saving little bits of legendary stuff. Obviously, I have 11 Gifts of Battle sitting in the bank here, 16 extra Gifts of Exploration, and various other things that I may or may not have combined. On this next one, I keep consumables and infusions. Got a few infusions here that just haven't been put on characters, a couple of enrichments, but mostly here I'm just keeping these Black Lion consumables that come out of, things like birthday presents, or they come out of things like, your Black Lion chest reward of crap for your daily, etc. Moving down, you'll see obviously I am sitting on a whole lot of Ascended trinkets. This is because I, did not invest in the legendary system early in terms of trinkets. So I'm sitting on a whole lot of Blood Ruby stuff. The Blood Ruby stuff obviously stat resettable, which if you are making builds, etc. a lot, is of greater value than just about anything else. And then we're just sitting on a whole bunch of basic other Ascended trinkets that may or may not be of value. The other thing I'm sitting on over here are a number of exotic gear items. These are all mainly stat selectable, or things that I have chosen stats on, or maybe some water weapons that I will put over here as well. But mainly I'm going to keep these things here as just useful for build crafting. When you're sitting on, stat selectable armor boxes, it's always just an immense piece of quality of life in this game. Moving on a little bit, some of the other items I'm keeping in here, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I am keeping a lot of the precursors from the Generation 2.5 legendaries that I've created, and the reason I'm doing this is because they increase my account value on GW2 efficiency. That's really it at this point. A couple of things here that are just overflowing. I haven't really put in the bank. I haven't gone in and just combined, say, my baubles down to bubble baubles, etc. My next tab here, obviously, is, if you're making a lot of builds, you need a lot of runes and sigils. Obviously, a lot in here in terms of runes and sigils. A lot, obviously, spread off across my other characters as well. Hopefully, one day, we'll do the legendary runes and sigils thing. Maybe sell these things, make a bunch of gold back. And down here, our next tab is mainly filled with Ascended items that no longer serve any kind of useful purpose. But I don't know, man. Ascended salvaging feels bad, man. It's awful. So really what I'm looking at here are secondary weapons that I can obviously stat change whenever I want to use, in situations where I may not have, obviously, 2 Ascended weapons. I only have 1 Ascended axe, so couple more axes sitting around, but these staffs not so much of value anymore now that I have made the legendary staff. I made the Bifrost earlier this year, so those are really that. I'm also just holding on to a bunch of unidentified gear bags before I transfer them over to a character who kind of holds on to them, and that is my bank. So those are my unlocks, including what's sitting in my bank and material storage. Let's take another step and move along here at this point. All right, let's take a few minutes and get into achievements at this point. Gonna just access the old hero panel and bring up our achievements. I'm kind of funny about achievements. I will go in and do a bunch when I think I need to for, some kind of meta achievement, etc. I will go through and do small, easy achievements, but when it comes to the long-term grindy stuff in this game, I will nope out pretty quickly. You'll see what I'm talking about here. For the festivals, I'm really not paying attention to festivals anymore. I take a look at what the meta achievement is and decide whether or not it's worth my time. I just really have had pretty much it for festivals for the time being. I enjoy Halloween a little bit. I enjoy New Year's, the Lunar New Year one a little bit, but I've kind of had it at this point with the festivals, so I don't pay a whole lot of attention to them. In terms of the story journal, you'll see what I'm talking about earlier here. I've got a lot of the achievements in the story journal, but there's always going to be a few of the later ones that I won't have touched. So, you can get a good sense of the kind of player I am with this. When we look at some of them, I will be closer than others to have completing them all. Visions of the Past, I did a lot of Visions of the Past, so a lot of these really grindy ones are almost done. Shadows of the Ice, I wasn't as big a fan of, so we're missing a few achievements in there. And this is the newer stuff. When we get to the older stuff, you're going to see I was a little more thorough with these things. Bound by Blood, which is something I just don't want to go and do these achievements. A lot of those are just awful. But then we take a look at War Eternal. I'm almost done that. All or Nothing, maybe a little bit further behind there. That's kind of the player I am. It's the kind of thing where once I get later on down and, I'm looking at 29,800 or something like that on my overall achievement points, I might start looking for low-hanging fruit in here, but otherwise I'm just not going to do it. That's the reason why I haven't done either of the legendary amulets. I've done a lot of this kind of stuff in the past and really just don't have any interest in going back and doing a lot of the achievements at this point, which at some point I will absolutely have to do. We take a look at the more story, the core, for the expansion stuff. I'm going to be much closer to doing everything in here, which I find a little bit more reasonable than some of the living story stuff. And when we look at Living World Season 3, you'll see that when we get to the earlier episodes, I'm much closer to finishing a lot of these when we get to Living World Season 3 than I may be on some of the more recent content. And it has nothing to do with, my feelings about the content itself. I think that these kind of achievements are absolutely fantastic for completionists, but I just don't have my heart in this part of the game anymore to be going in and doing a lot of this stuff. So we'll just keep it in mind at that point. When we look at Season 2, I've barely touched any of the achievements here, other than the 1 AP that you will get, or the 1 mastery point that you will get simply from doing it. The Season 2 stuff just isn't very good content in my books, and my apologies to people who may have worked on that, who may hear me say that. It's not my intent to cast aspersions on it. I just didn't enjoy it as much as some of the other things. Well, you get into general achievements. I'm looking pretty good here. I am 1 dungeon path away from finishing Dungeon Master, which kind of makes me happy. Twilight Arbor, a couple of achievements left in that one. For the Silver Wastes, just missing the Dive Master there. For Dry Top, missing a few others. Slayer, I believe I am done Slayer. If you need Giant Slayer, there's a couple of places in Desolation that you can use to farm giants, and that should get that done. But yeah, kind of proud of this one. Hero, all of these are done as well. Tradesman, I think I'm missing a couple of, so I haven't done Scribe. Not really kind of interested in doing Scribe. Seems like a bit of a money sink, and I'm not a big guild guy. And then this stuff is obviously simply for players with too much money. Explorer, I've got some of the newer stuff I'm missing. For example, I haven't done the Sky Scale Rider exploration ones, which would obviously be a whole bunch of quick AP pickup for me. And I may do at some point in the future, but then the rest of them I really just haven't touched. There's a lot here that's been done. Fashion, obviously. If you know me, you know I've done fashion. Hey, quick pro tip on this stuff. If you play some World vs. World, all of the cultural armors are half price in World vs. World, as long as you add some of the currency from there. Much cheaper to do it in World vs. World. Looking at Weapon Master, missing a few of the things here. Missing Warhorn, Shield, Rifle, Torch, Trident, obviously the underwater stuff I don't do a whole lot of, and then the Focus. But otherwise, we're done on everything else here. Community, yeah, I haven't touched a couple of these that are primarily for the festivals, but everything else here is done. Hall of Monuments, I have not done any of. I have not played Guild Wars 1. It is something I am considering doing for channel content in the future. Jumping puzzles, have a few of these that I have not completed. That's all we're going to say about that. Jumping puzzles, not my favorite part of the game, but I am glad they are there. Mastery Insights all done. A couple left on Dragonstorm and on the world bosses. You'll see missing a few here on each of the world bosses. It's just because, you know, I'm not a world boss guy. I find them to be a little bit kind of spammy, though I really would like to go in and get the Triple Trouble stuff that I'm missing. Obviously, I'm missing 2 of the worms, which I've never killed here, and would like to do that. Sunken Treasure, Master Diver, I think this is the infinite one that we can repeat. For the swimsuit bead infusions, I have a character that's sitting on almost 200 of these keys, and I just can't be bothered to use them. Going into the tutorial ones, this is some of the new stuff that they've added over the last little bit. I've actually picked up a couple of these doing the Let's Replay series. Probably look at getting the rest of these just out. These are not obviously hard to get. Going into here, when we're talking about the general open world stuff, I will be missing a lot of things that are directly related to adventures. I'm not a big player of adventures. I am not a big player of things like the Griffin races and stuff like that. Just not my thing. Again, glad they're there. I think that, like, for example, the Beetle racing, I enjoy a lot. And again, these things are just obviously part and parcel of the MMO experience. But when we look through here at the things that I am missing, you know, there's a couple of common ones, but they're mostly going to be things like the Griffin Rider ones. If we look at Elon River Lions, same thing. We're missing, you know, Griffin Rider ones. Some of these Skim Shallow Cove Supply Run, okay, things like that. So adventures, not my favorite part of the game, but again, there's a few AP to be picked up here that I just haven't gone through because I've been taking a different kind of focus on the game for the last year as I've been building the channel. These kind of things become of less import and less value. So going through here, almost done most of the Crystal Desert stuff. Mastery Insights, obviously I'll get those. Anything to do with specializations, I'll get those. Going through the Heart of Thorn stuff really quickly, it's the same kind of scenario. Shooting Gallery, you know, Tendril Tortures Gold are things that I'm not going to spend my money, or spend my time, going through. And I think that, you know, there's nothing wrong with the people who want to do that. I think that if that's where you find your joy, you know, have at her. Specializations, again, for Heart of Thorns, also complete. With the side stories, I missed the first 2 that kind of came out before I even started the game, so really haven't done these, but then as you go on, most of these I'm a little bit closer to complete on. Obviously, Night of the Thorn I do a lot. Portal Panic, Beetle Racing, I'm missing a couple of the Beetle Racing achievements, but otherwise I'm a big fan of those. Won't go through all the Return to stuff. I have done it all. I was not a fan. Competitive, you know, the PvP stuff. A lot of these PvP achievements are kind of easy pickups. If you play any amount of it, you'll notice that I'm close to done on a lot of these, because these are not necessarily hard achievements to get. As you can see here, I'm just a few short. So while I've dabbled in PvP, I haven't played a lot of it. The Ascension backpack thing is the same kind of thing. I can't be bothered to devote myself to a game mode that brings out the worst parts of my personality. Let's look at the world versus world stuff, where I am a lot further along than some of the PvP stuff. I guess I could get another 100 emblems of the Conqueror to do this infinite achievement. You know, not a big fan of this. It leaves a bunch of currency sitting on your characters. But a lot of these are done. I did get Yak Slapper, 2,500 yaks. I was pretty proud of myself there. Edge of the Mists I haven't done a lot of, so there's a lot of this that hasn't gone. Edge of the Mists kind of emptied out a little bit after I started playing the game. So I started the game about 5 years ago. I want to say it was about 3 years ago that they added the pip system to World vs. World. Didn't add it to Edge of the Mists, and like overnight killed any and all activity in Edge of the Mists. A couple of Warclaw achievements left to get. Nothing that I'm really going to worry too much about. The side games, not a big fan. The only time I'm going to go and do these side games like Belcher's Bluff or well, not Belcher's Bluff, but Keg Brawl, Crab Toss, South Sun Survival, Sanctum Sprint. The only time I'm going to do these is when, I'm out of options for dailies. I may go and do one of these or two really quickly. Let's talk about Raid. And before we do, let's talk about today's sponsor, a game I unironically enjoy in my own... No, sorry guys, I can't. Taking a look at the raids, I have a grand total of, I believe, 12 LI. I am not a raider, and it has nothing to do with not enjoying the content, not wanting to see it in the game, etc. I just haven't found the correct group to progression raid with. Most of the people who are raiding in this game have done it a lot. I would like to do it with a group of people who have maybe never done it, or maybe a group of people with one or two leaders who have done these things before, and just do progression through it. And I've never had the opportunity to do that, so I'm just kind of, leaving my rating until hopefully one day I find a group of people that I can do progression rating with. I would really enjoy that. So most of these are going to be absolutely untouched. I have done a couple on. I've done Samurag on Bastion of the Penitent and Mursat Overseer. I have done, I believe, what have we got here? I've done the, on Stronghold of the on Salvation Pass, I have done the Veil Guardian, Spirit Veil, sorry. So this tells you exactly how much I know about this portion of the game, and should probably just shut up now and move on. Fractals, I've done a little more. I tap out at high T3 on the fractals. They get a little sweaty for me at that point, but there are a couple of achievements that are missing here that I could go through and pretty easily kind of pick up. Taking a look at collections will be a little bit different. Obviously, I'm a big believer in any kind of collection that is dropping me Ascended stuff, or was until about a year ago. So really, I am very close on a lot of these collections. I have also completed a lot of the basic collections in the game. This used to be where I found a fair bit of my joy in the game, was here. Rare collections, kind of the same way. With the rare collections, though, if I'm not mistaken, do these... Yeah, so, I've done a great number of these. Pretty much anything that will, award any Ascended weapon or Ascended armor, I'm going to do those. But there's a few left that I haven't really gone on to. Specialization collections I will do immediately. These are obviously one of your quickest ways to get an Ascended weapon in the game is to do the desert collections. They really, really need to look at rebalancing the cost of those HOT collections, though. Wow. With legendary weapons, I have a few that are open here at this point. Otherwise, I've done a bunch of the tier 1 collections. My focus on the legendaries has been to really evaluate the 2.5 and the 2.0 skins and see if they were something I wanted, and if not, just go ahead and basically quickly as possible grind out a Gen 1. So I have a mix of all three collections. You know, I really enjoyed the Chuka and Chompawat collection. I did not, however, so much enjoy any of the 2.5s I've done, and I've done a lot of the 2.5s. So it really is kind of, you know, a mixed bag regarding the legendary experience. I'm looking forward to seeing what they are going to do with the whole system in End of Dragons. Legendary backpacks, I've started working on ad infinitum, you know, the fractal one. I've kind of started on that, and I've taken a couple of quick steps for the legendary armor with the basic rating I have done. For legendary trinkets, I started working on both Vision and Aurora, and had to get to the point where it's either, you know, keep making builds for the channel and keep working on, you know, the YouTube thing, or start working on this stuff. And really, when it comes to my enjoyment of the game, I take a lot more enjoyment from the buildcraft than I do from the mind-numbing legendary grind on these achievements. I just can't do it anymore, and it really is a shame, because I didn't unlock the Aurora collections before I did the return to achievements, which, you know, I guess shame on me, but then shame on ArenaNet for not like seeing that I'd done most of these things and done them fairly recently. So you know, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. I don't suppose anybody's at blame, but I'm just not going to be doing these things anytime soon. I am really burnt out on legendary grind at this point, that I just can't be going in and making more legendary trinkets. Festival collections, I'm, you know, pretty nonplussed about it. I will take a look at any festival, see if there are any cosmetics I want, grind those out, and then, you know, stop doing it as much as possible. So I really don't pay attention to the collections here. Black Lion collections, I have done exactly one. Irony of all irony, I did the plasma weapon collection a long time ago, where I actually completed that collection for the 7 Black Lion tickets, and, you know, used those to fund a legendary. It's not something I'm usually in the position to do gold wise in this game, do that flip. It was obviously a really fun flip. I do not buy a lot of the Black Lion skins. I will see, you know, 1 or 2 that may become available. I will have 1 or 2 maybe drop when I'm doing my Black Lion key farm here or there, and I may go ahead and buy a couple for gold. The other thing I'll do with the Black Lion ones is just obviously save any of the weapon claim tickets I get. But that really is collections. So going through my cosmetic unlocks in this game, we'll briefly touch on all this stuff, but I think there's kind of too much to go through. You'll notice that I go in and I get about as much as possible that doesn't cost a ton, is basically the best way to put it. So we're just taking a look at all the unlocks really quickly here, and then we'll take a look at some of the other cosmetics that I have. When it comes to the weapon cosmetics, it will depend on the weapon. I will have a lot of hammer skins in this game. I will have a lot of dagger skins in this game. I will have a lot of axe skins in this game. I may not have as many staff skins or as many, say, greatsword skins as all that. That's just kind of the way I look at it. I've got all the dungeon cosmetics done, which I thought was one of the more fun things I did in this game, was obviously unlocking all the dungeon cosmetics. I don't think there are very many cosmetics left from Path of Fire that I'm missing either. Quick look through the weapons here. It looks about the same. You know, we don't want to obviously go over each and every one, but it's the kind of situation where if it's something achievable in game really quickly, I will absolutely go out and do that. If it's something that's going to cost me a little gold, I'll take a look at the look of it. And then there's obviously the legendary concerns, which are done a fair bit differently. You know, won't go through too much more of this. When it comes to the outfits in the game, I don't have many of these unlocked. I don't get many of the outfits. There are some exceptions. I did get this one and paid money for it because it looks outrageously cute on Asura. Then I've got anything that's achievable in-game. I bought this Ebon Vanguard for my character who's going to be a Vindicator with Black Line statuettes, which is one place I'll get a lot of these things. Most of the rest of this stuff is either achievable in-game or bought with Black Line statuettes. The only two that were not are going to be the Shrine Guardian outfit, which just looks amazing and I think is a fantastic outfit. The aforementioned Arctic Explorer outfit, and everything else was either given to me or came obviously out of a Black Lion chest that was completely random because, I don't know, does anybody actually want that outfit? Moving along, we'll take a look at die unlocks. I've got most of them. The dies that I do not have are going to be the super exclusive ones that cost a lot of money. So I'm good with my die collection here at this point. Looking at the glider skins, I don't have a ton of these. A lot of these are going to have come from Black Lion chests. A couple of these were gifts. This fox one, for example, was a gift from Cattywampus, and obviously highly prized. You know, the white feathers will have come from a Black Lion chest. The exalted one, I believe you can earn in game, or I got out of a Black Lion chest. I think I actually bought the Phoenix Kite. The Celestial Rooster was a present and really had to have for one of my characters who's always got a chicken around. The Magic Carpet I needed just because of that pose. The same reason that I got this Geomancer glider, but I got this for statuettes. Abaddon's glider. This will again have been a situation where that came for free out of a Black Lion key, and most of these are going to have come from Black Lion keys. Obviously, we've got the DX11 glitch, which isn't showing a few of the particle effects on some of the wings at this point, so it's obviously important to keep that in mind. Taking a look at the mounts, I am not a big mount collector, and a lot of the silly stuff you will see in my collection is from Black Lion keys. We will take a look really quickly at Raptor mounts. Just a few of kind of the usual ones. The one I really like here is this one that actually looks like a raptor from Jurassic Park. I also like this Flamelighter one with the colorable particle effects. This bioluminescent one is also really nice. The Canthan one is well done for what it is. It's just kind of a little weird to me. And I also quite like, you know, I tend to favor the more realistic looking ones, or the mounts that actually are kind of representative of different creatures, etc. The plush one I got out of my last Black Lion Key Farm run. Going to take a look at the next one. We'll take a look at the bunny mounts. This is probably one of my favorite mounts right here, which is the gecko, because it licks its own eyeballs. The Woodland Sprite is really nice for trolling people because it's so ridiculous, but the Alloyed Irontail has the changed sound effects on it and makes me laugh every time. I have the Hummingbird for my skimmer. This really is possibly one of the best cosmetics I've ever had in any MMO. It's an absolutely fantastic cosmetic. And I really don't recommend a lot of these gem store buys, but man, this Hummingbird is something else. Other ones I like here, I got the one that is like the Killer Whale, which I quite like. And then the rest are pretty much standard stuff. Oh yeah, this ice one is also got some nice effects on it. Going down here, we'll take a look at the Jackal skins I have. I am fortunate that I got the deer. I quite like this. This nice deer one is really nice. Otherwise, I've been pretty much the usual stuff that comes out of Black Lion boxes. This St. Bernard's kind of cute. I guess he's alright, but these are all kind of well done. Looking down here, what was this? That was those. We'll take a look at the beetles. Don't have a ton of beetles. The primeval one is really nice, I guess. Really the only one I tend to rock here, though, is the Trailblazer one, and it's just because I like Trailblazer, not just because I like the stat set, but I am a basketball fan. The Warclaw mounts, I have the one that came with it, the one you can earn, and I was really, really lucky to get the Sand Lion, and that is really the only one I ever needed. Griffin mounts, I've got a few really nice ones. I was lucky to get this one here, which is one of the kind of the prestige mounts, which actually turned out alright. I do prefer the Sky Bandit to just about any of them, however, because of its raccoon look, when it's dyed correctly. And the rest are pretty kind of the standard stuff that you see. But one thing about the Griffins is they tend to die really nicely, so I'm a really big fan of that. Finally, Skyscale. I got the bearded one, which I use, and I got the Fat Boy, and I like the Fat Boy. He's pretty cool. And those are mount skins. Let's go really quickly look through novelties. I don't have a ton of novelties unlocked. The novelties that I do have, however, will have again come from my Blackline key runs or things that I've earned in the game. I have earned the two legendaries that give musical instruments, and I specifically made those legendaries to get these novelties, and I never use them, but I just think that that's cool as hell. Other novelties, and we'll just take a look here. I do have the Mystic Lotus Chair and the Desert Throne. I did get as a gift the How to Dance, but the rest of this stuff is not really a system I have invested a ton of my time in. Down from novelties, we have miniatures. Miniatures really is not something I pay a ton of attention to. The only time I will use miniatures is when I see a Black Lion miniature kind of claim ticket, and I'll go and I'll take a look at it. Otherwise, it's got to be pretty impressive for me to go out and earn it in game. I have the Catmanders, I have the Celestial Rooster. I don't think one really needs too much after that. I am, however, a sucker for some of these that you will see in the Living World maps that will cost an outrageous amount of karma. I will absolutely go and get those, but for the most part, this is a system I just don't pay a whole lot of attention to. Looking at finishers, it's the same situation. I don't pay very much attention to this. I have the stuff that you get at Halloween. I got the stuff that you get from unlocking from just playing some PvP. And I think I may have one or two more. It's the Chickenado finisher I did invest in, and that really is it though. Back one more step and let us look at mail carriers. In terms of mail carriers, I have the two that you can get off the TP, and then I believe the anniversary one was one that was given to us at one point. And finally, I have the Raven one, which I actually believe I purchased. Shame on me. Oh no, it was the Snow Owl one that I purchased, absolutely. Which, yeah, still, shame on me. And that would be cosmetics. So our final stop on our little account tour here will be my home instance, which I have not plundered yet today, so you guys can get a really good idea of what's going on here. Basically, with the home instance, I have got just about everything that is achievable in-game, so things like, obviously, the Quartz Node, the King-Size Candy Corn, the Sprockets, things like that. I have a few of the gem store items, the Inglewood Tree, the Ancient Sapling, the Red Oak. I believe I have one of the metal ones up here. Yes, the Iron Ore. These obviously will be things that I gems to golded for. I did not actually credit card or swipe for any of this stuff. which is kind of a line I'm drawing in terms of the home instance, in that I will play with this system as much as I feel comfortable, as long as I'm not dumping any actual real money into it. So we'll go around here, take a look at some of the other nodes that are available. I obviously off the TP picked up the wood nodes and the iron nodes. I additionally gems to golded for this basic leather rack here, but you know, my experience is that gems to gold probably a sucker bet, and not really one I want to do. So it's the kind of thing where I'm going to kind of leave this whole system aside to get the things that I need, other than the things that are achievable in game, until such time as I'm sitting on more money than I really know what to do with, and can just easily kind of put those into the game. So you see, I've got the corn and supply cache, so all the Living World Season 3 and Season 4 and all the Ice Brood Saga nodes are going to be here, which I'm pretty proud of. I also have the one from the Silver Wastes, and the ones from the Maguma maps, etc. So those are all there. The only other thing to keep in mind, let's take a little step over this way. We will head up towards the garden, and we will talk about the garden. With the garden, and you'll see it here in a moment, I have only unlocked the garden plot that comes from the chef achievement. I have not done the gem store garden plots. Again, it's just a matter of, you know, do I see real value in this system? I would probably go ahead and do that if I was one of those people that was obviously cooking a lot of Ascended food. I think that having the additional garden plots would probably be a good idea, but otherwise I'm not going to invest money in that system. So that's pretty much it. So there you have it, guys. That is my account tour. I hope I didn't miss anything totally important on the whole thing. Tried to hit as many of the important things as possible. If you do have any questions, that's what the comments in the video are for. So go ahead, hit up the comments down in the video down below. I realize this was a longer video than maybe I had planned, but there was some obvious requests to go through the characters. The characters obviously taking a lot more time than just about anything in this video. And there you have it, guys. At this point, I'm going to thank you all very much for watching and making it through the longest video I ever made. I'm going to remind you to have fun in game and min-max your real life. I'm glad we took this moment. We'll see you next time.